There's only two ways we're going to drive the cost down for homes. Number one, the government's going to come in and subsidize them. We know how that works. Or we bring in more providers and we allow them to offer more services and we allow the prices to come down as they get competitive amongst each other. That's what I'm pushing for. I have found in rural Minnesota that one of the biggest lacks we have is the amount of service providers. If we get more providers, we get better choices, and we get better costs, and we get better access. So those are a couple things that I'm doing. Let me talk about broadband for a second. What is broadband? People say broadband is fiber. Broadband is not fiber. Broadband is connectivity. I can get you broadband through a wireless connection. I can get it through fiber. I can get it through copper. Broadband to my daughter. Let me tell you what broadband is to my daughter. She's a high school senior, and I have a couple of them behind her. But we were traveling to do college visits, and as we're sitting there and we're filling out the applications, my wife says to her, "Amelia, you need to get us the paper applications so we can read that." She says, No, I don't do paper. I'm like, what are you talking about? Print this off, we're old, we have to be able to sit at the dining room table and read this. She says, no, I don't do that. They are doing their college applications on their wireless phone while we're driving across the country to grandma's house. And she's doing all this with her phone. That's her broadband connection, and it's wherever she goes. So we have to think outside the box a little bit, because what you and I think of as broadband may be just sitting at home and being able to hook our computer up. Our kids and grandkids see this as a whole different world. They see this as a world that I can go wherever I need to go with my device, and I'm always connected. And we've got to think about that, because if we just spend our money hardwiring things, we're going to miss a whole generation of kids that need to be out and about and mobile. So that's a couple of things on broadband. And that's very tricky in the legislative world that we do, because we have to be able to do two things. We have to hook up as many houses as we can, and we have to get to the toughest houses. That's what the state subsidies have got to do, because remember, the private sector is going to come into the high-density population, and they're going to put their fiber lines in like they do everything else. But it's when you go over the hill and through the woods to grandmother's house, it gets really expensive, right? And so that's what we got to do. The state funds should focus there, do the unserved, and move towards the middle where the served areas are, and that's where the private, the state, and the federal dollars will come together. So that's a little bit of how I'm pushing for this. We are seeing a huge push in this all around the state, and it's for a couple reasons. Telemedicine, more and more access to medicine. Homes are finding that maybe there's a cheaper solution to getting my medicine online than it is always going to the doctors. Education, connecting schools. You're going to see more and more of a push when we have bad weather days, whether it's here or like in Roseau. Rather than putting kids on the bus for 2 hours in a really bad weather day, let's let them stay at home and let's let them access their educational opportunities and instruction online. So this is the world we're moving to. And the other thing is, we know the next generation is competing at this level digitally. So let me tell you some of the pitfalls of what we're doing. I'm trying really hard not to make this political. And there's a lot of people down in St. Paul, Representative Davids is one of them. We're not trying to make this a political fight. We're just trying to solve it. But you know what? Sometimes we get into where we start throwing numbers out. I would encourage you, don't get hung up on a number. Because whatever a number is in government, it's usually wrong. Let's look at solutions, and let's look at how we can solve this to communities. And from my vantage point, let's get to the hardest to reach areas. If I can achieve those goals, I think the private dollars will come in, and I think the federal dollars will supplement it. You're going to hear about CAF funding here in a minute, Connect America funds. So with that, I'll be around to talk more about what we're doing. And what's really important is we hear your questions. Because as we hear your